Hundreds of supporters of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny have endorsed him for the presidency and prepared to file his nomination with election officials, putting pressure on the Kremlin to allow him to run. President Vladimir Putin's most formidable foe in all his 18 years in power, Mr. Navalny, 41, is barred from running because of a criminal conviction that is largely viewed as political retribution. He could run if he gets a special dispensation or if the conviction is cancelled. Some 800 Navalny supporters gathered for a formal endorsement meeting in a giant marquee on the snow-covered riverside in Moscow. The endorsement was observed by election authorities. Mr. Navalny's representative is to file the papers with the Election Commission later on Sunday in the same procedure that Mr. Putin, who is also running as an independent, should follow. Even though Russian law requires a candidate to submit an endorsement from just 500 people before he or she is allowed to collect the 1 million signatures required to get a place on the ballot paper, Mr. Navalny's supporters put a show of strength on Sunday. Outdoors endorsement gatherings took place in 19 other cities as well, from Vladivostok to St. Petersburg. Polling agencies show 80% support for Mr. Putin, which almost certainly guarantees him a win. But Mr. Navalny has managed to galvanize some of Russia's sleepiest regions with a year-long grassroots campaign. But Mr. Navalny now needs to be officially registered as a candidate by Russia's Central Election Commission, which has previously said he is ineligible due to a suspended prison sentence that he says was politically motivated. Mr. Navalny said he was confident he would win if he runs, and called on his supporters to boycott the vote if the authorities refuse to register him. "We are not going to recognize this election, but we're not going to step aside either. There will be an all-Russian strike of voters," he said. Mr. Navalny has been jailed 3 times this year on charges of repeatedly organizing public meetings and rallies in violation of existing laws. He says the Kremlin is deliberately trying to thwart his political ambitions. The European Court of Human Rights ruled in October that Mr. Navalny's conviction for fraud in 2014 was arbitrary and ordered Moscow to pay him compensation. On Saturday, Russia's ruling party United Russia pledged all possible support to the 65-year-old Mr. Putin in his bid to win a further 6 years in power in the March election. Russian property developer Sergei Polinsky, who has been convicted of defrauding investors, on Sunday also secured enough initial backing to seek clearance from the Election Commission to take part in the presidential race. Others planning to run include television personality Alexei Sobchak, whose late father was Mr. Putin's boss in the early 1990s, journalist Ekaterina Gordon. AP/Reuters